IMPAKT TV. Next to me is a very special guest, Timo Meilof. Welcome, Timo.
Thank you, Rosa.
And later on, we will also be, who will also be joining us, Arjon Dunnenwind, the General Director of IMPAKT. Timo, how are you experiencing the festival so far?
Yeah, I'm really enjoying it so far. I've seen a lot of interesting talks, keynotes. The screening from yesterday was also very nice. I enjoyed that a lot. And yeah, I've been meeting some people and playing Turning Tables, the card game. We'll talk about that at the end of this episode. And yeah, that's been fun as well.
And so you're the coordinator of CODE, and not just CODE in general, but CODE. Is it an acronym? Can you briefly describe what it means?
Yeah, it stands for Connected Digital Europe, and it's a program that was originally started by IMPAKT and School of Machines in 2021, with the aim of trying to make art about digital agency, and also hopefully through art getting some more awareness with politicians for issues that are present in our digital landscape. And this year there are two more partners have joined for the Code 2022 edition, and those are Werktank and Privacy Salon from respectively Leuven and Brussels.
Very nice. So we have some videos to give you a little bit of an idea of what CODE looks like, of what kind of projects evolve from it. Let's take a look.
How can we raise awareness about data security and privacy in ways that we question and challenge what is shareable and what is private?
We are making the invisible visible. We are creating an evocative intervention that brings the reality of our digital footprint to our physical dimension.
Through a series of exchanges, interactions, and confrontations, this intervention emulates the online tracking ecosystem we encounter on a daily basis. Sometimes known, but often unknown to us, we reveal data through cookies, unique identifiers, analytics, advertising platforms, measuring, quantifying, qualifying our every move online. In this interaction, unsuspecting participants are enticed by the promise of a free product to be quantified entities. We follow and track their movement through space. We approach and disturb them with invasive questions, and then engage and disclose information that we collected on them.
This is a call to action to connect your individual concerns to collective discourse.
This is a call to action for citizens and policymakers to demand more transparency in our daily online transactions.
By interfering and disrupting our private space and physical boundaries, we hope to create a feeling of unease, of uncanniness, to invite reflections, to raise awareness, and to start a conversation around data literacy and our privacy.
To render the digital physical, we are making the invisible visible.
Does this seem like an extra frustrating tool to use? Well, maybe because it is.
But is it really the fault of the platform? We're living in a world where choice is an illusion, with the way the internet is built and how Google has established itself in this infrastructure.
We, as consumers, are coerced into using their services.
Critics of Google suggest higher taxes, divestitures and stricter legislation, but our project aims simply to expose to all parties involved how the reality proposed by our plugin is unachievable in the world where tech giants dictate the rules.
In response to these problems, we have created Googleless, an easy-to-install browser plugin that playfully reveals the hidden Google monopoly. As shown at the start of the video, the plugin will promise a chance to experience the internet without Google and its tracking. However, this internet will be very different from the one you are used to. Every time you attempt to navigate to a page with Google service on whether it is maps, location, fonts and so on, you will be met with this page, announcing that this website is unavailable. This means that over 70% of all websites you will visit will be blocked by our plugin.
We hope this will not only reveal to people how omnipresent Google is in their personal online sphere, but also annoy them into activism. To encourage further action, we will provide you with a ready-made email that you can send to your local politician explaining the problem and suggesting solutions.
We will run an extensive social media campaign to get as many people and policymakers as possible to experience the annoying reality of a Google-free internet. Hopefully, this experience and awareness generated will convince politicians in the EU and beyond to realize that the longer they take to enact anti-monopoly laws, the more these tech giants will extend their hold of online spaces.
We demand a future without these dehumanizing border technologies, where the companies making them are properly regulated and refugees' lives aren't used to test them on. So we decided to try to do something about it. We are a group of artists, designers, academics, developers and concerned citizens based in both Germany and the Netherlands. We wanted people to realize that these new technologies are a closer reality to their lives than they may think, by targeting them while they were traveling freely around Europe. Starting in Berlin Central Station, we created a Wi-Fi network by using a Raspberry Pi and offered it to people passing by. But this isn't an ordinary Wi-Fi network. Under the pretense of offering greater safety or speed, people are asked to grant increasingly invasive permissions before they can get online. The Wi-Fi network comes from our seemingly trustworthy company, Argus, named after the many-eyed god from Greek mythology. Before accessing Argus's fast and free Wi-Fi, the user is asked to switch on their camera so we can scan their face, turn on their microphone so we can record their voice, and let us access their contacts to analyze their trustworthiness. Once it's over, we ask, "You want to get out? We would too." By giving people a sense of the intrusive nature of these technologies, we hope they are encouraged to take action against them. We found a simple call to action through Reclaim Your Face, an initiative aiming to collect 1 million signatures so the EU will create a new law explicitly prohibiting biometric mass surveillance. Although started in Berlin, we want this project to be replicated across Europe. As it is open source and cheap to reproduce, we plan to create a kit for others to bring Argus's Wi-Fi into their cities, so that more people learn about and take action against these invasive and dehumanizing border technologies.
I think it's very interesting to make the relationship between, on the one hand, the fact that we are all being nudged and that a lot of different dark patterns are being used for us to just simply give away all our private data, and to make it very tangible to people by doing that through a free Wi-Fi app.
Well, obviously, innovation always goes much faster than regulation and legislation. So we're almost always behind. But apart from that, I see as problematic that our parliament is very fragmented, and the number of motions that are proposed, they exploded over the last decennium.
I think that already gave us a great impression of some of the things that Code is working with. Mm-hmm. It was also nice for me. I saw the Googleless interface project that you also worked on, I think.
Yeah. Last year, so what you just saw were the projects from Code 21. That was the first edition of Code, and I was participating at that time in one of the projects, which was the Googleless project, indeed. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think you told me about it at this Impact Festival, but then last year, and then I installed it on my computer. So it's nice to see how these things travel. Timo, could you explain a little bit more to me what exactly the goal is of the Code project, and also because what is clear to me is that it's not only artists, right? It's artists, designers, researchers, even politicians are involved. How is this interdisciplinary approach really part of Code?
Yeah, so the idea for Code indeed is to involve people who are worried or interested about issues that are regarding digital agency. Mm-hmm. And the aim is also to make it a bit more accessible for people who are not necessarily artists, but we also want to involve people who can give a different view on matters. So, for example, people working on privacy within more corporate companies, they can give an entirely different opinion and view on the issues than artists would, and so that's how we try to also involve. So for us it would be artists, but also researchers and people working in politics, so we also try to involve policymakers. Now, it has been notoriously hard to involve policymakers and politicians, especially with making the projects. However, what you also saw in the web project at the end of the video was that after we had finished the program and we had finished the projects, we actually went in discussion with some of the politicians at the end of the video, and they could kind of give their idea on some of the issues that were raised by the project and how potentially they can hope to try to make an effort to change something.
All right, so take us along in the process a little bit. So there's a call. I think there's a call open right now, right?
Yes.
So I can imagine there's a call asking for researchers, artists to join, and then what happens?
So yeah, there is a call open right now. So for anybody who is interested in the program, you can check out the call on IMPAKT's website. And then after that, you get selected to join the program. And basically, since it's an international collaboration, a lot of the meetings are online. Some of them are physical, but most are online. And you basically go through a series of workshops and a multiple-day hackathon. And in those workshops and in the hackathon, you can kind of bounce ideas off of each other, state what you think is an important issue to address. And then you can try to find people who are interested in the same thing. And this is really what the start of the project is about. And then once you found your group, you can work on your project. And during the hackathon, it's kind of where you can really start to make something. And then the rest of the program are workshops where you can also get feedback from professional established artists and curators who can give you feedback on your work, give you suggestions if you have questions about, for example, how to solve a technical issue that you want to address, or maybe how to frame it so that people can understand it better. then you can get a lot of feedback from people who are very experienced in this.
So people don't have to come in with a fixed idea or proposal,
No.
but the idea is that they really develop it through these collaborations also.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And apart from having an interdisciplinary approach, I think it's also quite international, right? Could you say a bit more about that?
Yeah, so the first program was based in the Netherlands and Germany, and the second program we got our Belgian partners in as well, and in the future we hope to also expand the program to include more European countries, because this is really, because of the way that big tech platforms operate, it's really hard to regulate from within one country, because you cannot really make a stand, and the only way that you can really make effective changes is through collaborating internationally, and this is also why we are targeting, for example, people that are working in the European Union, because they, as Europe, you can make more of a stand and regulate big tech better than you can as a single country. Yeah.
A new series of projects is already in development. Could you already tell a little bit on some of the themes that the projects are?
Yeah, the projects are pretty much done, but the online documentation, so the web project, that is still in development. But we already showed some of the projects at, for example, the Dutch Design Week a few weeks ago, and also at Ars Electronica in Austria as well. And
could you give an example of project?
Yeah, so one of the projects that was interesting, that added a new angle that was not there last year, was a project called DSMA Unlimited. And we also have a video from that project which you can show in a little bit, but basically the project is about lobbying practices in European law, or in law in general, and how big tech companies are kind of using their economic power to also kind of adapt the law to make it more suitable for them and their data collection practices, for example. And there have been the DSA and the DMA, which is the Digital Services Act and the Digital Markets Act. These are regulations that are being pushed by the European Union, and yeah, their project kind of addressed how big tech companies can also try to adapt these regulations or send in their ideas about them, and yeah, kind of make a change in that way. So
sounds very exciting and important. I think maybe we should take a look at some of the videos about this.
Yeah, let's have a look at the video of this year's project, and there will also be a video from another project from this year as well.
DSMA Unlimited. You want to shape reality. We make it easy, affordable, and time-efficient to achieve the results you want, to model the law according to your vision. Own the law, own the game. DSMA Unlimited is a company that makes lobbying easy, affordable, and accessible. We are the only company that sell pieces of legislation and give you access to law modification. On our proprietary platform, you can bid to buy articles of the DSA and DMA. Once it's yours, you can change it to fit your needs. DSMA Unlimited is your trusted companion. Lobby work has never been more effortless and fun.
Welcome. You just entered the newly developed, cutting-edge Citizen Criminal Evaluator. This system was created by a number of governments, in collaboration with software developers, analysts and data scientists to ensure security and reduce human errors in criminal profiling. Every government has integrated the system in every state, city and neighborhood. Every citizen is required to undergo the mandatory assessment. We firmly believe algorithms help us with fairness in establishing law and order. We like to think that everyone is guilty until judged innocent. I am going to be your host and e-judge, guiding you through the evaluation process. Based on your score, you may face more intense online and physical surveillance, but do not worry, we are confident that you have nothing to worry about if you are a diligent citizen. Our philosophy is based on physiognomy, which associates personal characteristics and traits with physical differences and especially with elements of people's faces. The word is derived from the ancient Greek word for nature, physis, and the one for judge, nomon. This algorithm is actually a mix of 3 gender algorithms, produced by Microsoft and IBM and evaluating by an intersectional methodology. We have 4 categories: females with dark skins, males with dark skins, females with lighter skins and males with light skin. Other gender identities are not taken into consideration at the moment, since AI doesn't understand them or detect something other than the binary standard. To get a better judgment of your body language, we are looking for CCTV recordings in which you appear. CCTV cameras allow us to monitor citizens' clothing, movements and behaviors in order to detect abnormal or suspicious behavior. For example, in China, wearing pajamas in public can be deemed as uncivilized behavior. In Rotterdam, Netherlands, the city's police force is able to stop and question young people strolling around in expensive designer clothing, especially Gucci and Rolex. If they are not able to prove that the outfit is rightfully theirs, they can confiscate it. We are also going to cross-check with CCTV recording related to past crimes, political resistance episodes, riots and manifestations to see if you appear in any. Lastly, your face can lead us to your social media accounts. Our system has the ability to find your web presence, and to analyze the locations, correlations and network of people through it. There are many similar systems at the moment, as Shadow Dragon, an investigation tool recently acquired by the U.S. Immigration and Custom Enforcement Agency and by the Massachusetts State Police. This will help us understand your relationships, religious beliefs, place you visited or you lived in, and much more. The strength of this software is, of course, that anyone can be convicted of a crime they didn't even commit yet, since the algorithms will predict it in advance.
It almost feels like I'm looking at an episode of Black Mirror, if I'm seeing this. So can you tell us a little bit more about the very concerning video that we just saw?
Yeah, of course. I can really understand that it looks like Black Mirror, which is a dystopian technology series. And yeah, I think that this kind of way of presenting yourself as a company, as a fake company, is something that multiple groups in the project have actually taken to, because it's a really good way to show what actual companies are doing without our knowledge behind the scenes. And yeah, so what we just saw was first a video from DSMA Unlimited, and we briefly talked about that earlier as well. And after that we saw a video from Physiognomy, and yeah, they really show how facial recognition and other camera security technologies can be used to kind of track you around and yeah, follow you online. Yeah.
In the meantime, not as an AI generated face, but in person is joining Arjon Dunnenwind, Director of IMPAKT. Welcome, Arjon.
Hi.
Do you still have energy left after this festival?
Oh, I've got a lot of energy. Yeah, I got a lot of energy from the program that I just came out of. Yeah.
That's great.
No worries.
So we were talking. We just saw some videos about the code project of this year, and what I would like to know is also how is code developing in the future. What do you expect? For
it still has to be officially announced, but don't mind sharing that here. On the air. Code will be the theme of the upcoming Festival 23. So next year, in exactly a year probably, we'll address this issue of digital agency, or lack. Probably everything Timo explained extensively already. But then in a festival format, which gives us a lot of opportunities. Also some more time to prepare, to invite speakers and guests, to hopefully also share with artists, but also very much with a general audience, because it's very nice, and I think art can be a great tool to introduce these ideas and make them visible and palpable to a bigger audience. I mean, there's many great examples that make you feel how it is to accept cookies and what that would mean if you would do it in real life. Maybe the project was explained, and there's many other examples. So I think artists can be great in sharing these ideas with a bigger audience in a way that everyone can understand it, and everyone will maybe think a bit more what it means to agree to an end-user agreement, whatever things that we do on a daily basis, but that are definitely worth giving a second thought. And so this is in a nutshell what Code wants to do. Then enter also into a dialogue with politicians. And then making that to the focus of the upcoming festival will allow us to just dig a bit deeper, to share a bit more people, also to invite politicians to discuss this with us, because I think the only way to really have significant change in the situation is if we can create political change. And I mean, we've just launched a game that maybe you have been talking about.
Not yet.
Not yet. Oh, sorry.
We've been saving it for the end.
Okay. But all the other projects also, they are great tools. Google's project that maybe has been described, we shared that with someone from the European Parliament, and she was really excited about it and said, well, this, I'm going to show it to my colleagues, to my party members, but also maybe to the ones that do not agree with me, maybe about this issue of digital agency. And it's kind of a tool that will make it easier for me to convince other people that this is an issue that needs to be addressed. And that's, I think, where art really can have a good function.
Yeah, for sure. I very much agree with that. And also looking at a project that we just saw, later we'll also talk about the Turning Tables project. I think what's really striking is both how a lot of these structures that are always happening, that have become very normalized, are basically denormalized through these interventions, right? We start to see something that usually we're not so used to seeing, even though we use it every day already. And also the shock. I mean, I was really worried when I saw this new company being presented to me, and the Physiognomy Corps. And I think, you know, being worried or being shocked is a really powerful way to start a conversation. So about conversation starters, I think it's time to take a quick look at the video of Turning Tables, and then we'll talk about it more, maybe even play a little bit.
Are you as annoyed as we are with big tech? Do you agree that we need to turn big tech into fair tech? Then join us in playing Turning Tables. It's time to play a new game. The Turning Tables deck looks very much like an ordinary deck of cards. In fact, you can use it to play any card game you like. But we want you to start playing a new game.
Like a normal card deck, Turning Tables has got aces, kings, queens and jacks. But instead of the power structures of medieval times, the cards in Turning Tables represent the power structures of the world we live in today. Amazon, Facebook, Apple and Google, the aces of big tech, reign supreme. These companies have more wealth and power than any average country. Their CEOs are the kings in Turning Tables. They are among the richest people on earth. They can shoot themselves into orbit as a hobby.
The highest-ranking women in big tech are the queens. They earn millions, but their net worth is still often less than 1% of their male bosses. The jacks are the subsidiary companies. These are the small companies that reside under the 4 big tech companies. Most people don't know they're actually owned by Apple, Amazon, Google, and Facebook. You might know that Instagram was bought by Facebook. But did you know that Apple owns the music app Shazam? Look at the jack cards and you'll see the big tech strategies at work. Google wants to be leading in artificial intelligence, so in 2014 they bought the AI startup DeepMind. Amazon wants to get its share in gaming, the fastest growing market in entertainment. They bought the gaming platform Twitch. The top end of the Turning Tables card deck shows the people who currently have the money and the power in our world.
But Turning Tables also shows you the other side of the world of big tech. The cards with a value of 2, 3, and 4 are a different kind of picture card. They show other people who work for big tech. It's just that they don't make as much money as Jeff, Mark, and Tim. Meet Young Mai. She's a Chinese factory worker doing 60 hours a week assembling gadgets for Amazon. She earns just a few dollars a day and has to get permission to go to the toilet. And meet Daniel Modoung. He was a content moderator for Facebook in Kenya, keeping your Facebook feed free of violent images. He wanted better working conditions and psychological support for the traumatizing work he and his colleagues needed to do. They were going to go on strike to support their demands, but they were fired before they could do so. Gabriela da Silva is a contract worker for Google in Brazil. Google has been underpaying contract workers for years in Brazil and many other countries. Google also paid female employees less than male employees doing the same work. Software engineer Kelly Ellis successfully sued Google for this. In Ireland, Apple whistleblower Thomas Labaniak revealed how Apple was illegally using recordings of their customers made by their Siri app. The Value 4 cards show the average user of big tech products. We provide the data that make Google, Facebook, Amazon, and Apple rich. The cards also show the amount of tax paid by ordinary citizens. Proportionally, it's a lot more than what the big tech companies pay on the profits they are making. Big tech companies have got legal and tax advisors who help them to avoid paying taxes as much as possible. Turning Tables highlights the least privileged people working in big tech. We make the invisible visible and tell you about the scandals that big tech would like to keep hidden. We put the crowns on the heads of the people that most deserve it.
And there's more. With Turning Tables, you can turn the big tech world upside down. You can help a worker in an Indian iPhone factory to beat Mark Zuckerberg, or a Czech Amazon warehouse worker suffering from work-related illness to trump Jeff Bezos. The Turning Tables deck contains 12 Joker cards. These jokers are the inspiring critics and whistleblowers helping us to imagine a world where big tech turns into fair tech and hardworking, underpaid humans have more value than big tech multinationals. We want a world in which we have reclaimed our agency over the devices we use every day, and where we own and control our data. Douglas Rushkoff and Chelsea Manning, Joy Bulamwini, Tim Berners-Lee and Shoshana Zuboff are the good jokers who turn the power structure upside down. But the game also has some bad joker cards. The bad jokers are the human traits and the processes in society that make it so difficult to create change, traits like defeatism, division, convenience, and ignorance. Play these cards and big tech gets the upper hand again.
But don't despair. We still have the critical minds of Yevgeny Morozov and Timnit Gebru, and courageous whistleblowers like Frances Haugen and Edward Snowden. They will help you to see the world differently and imagine a world in which big tech is turned into fair tech.
So, Turning Tables, a card game, we have it physically here. How did you get to the idea to make a card game about this topic?
Joachim is a Belgian artist that you might know, and he developed, or it was his distributor, but he made this card game about arms trade. And it's not that new. If you do research, even the US Army or CIA, I don't know, published a card game of top-ranking terrorists. And in his case, I had to think of Joachim Pre's card game. I think it was the top arms traders. And it's a playful way of simply making things visible, putting it to the attention, and there might even be a card game of most wanted criminals, and they distribute it in jails also, hoping that someone will snatch on someone else, God knows. So it's a playful tool, and of course we used it to introduce the vases that we know, and that's maybe the gimmick, that there's a king card with Mark Zuckerberg on it, and the highest ranking female CEOs are in it also. But then I think really the main feature of the game is that you can turn it around. If you buy the game, I can only recommend you to buy it. You're going to see that the kings, at least the cards that have the K on it, don't wear crowns. We gave the crowns to the people that are normally at this bottom end of this power structure of big tech. A Chinese factory worker, an Amazon distribution center worker, somebody that got sacked for protesting or trying to organize a strike because he was a content moderator in Africa, which is a very stressful job to do. So all these people that are not treated very well by the big tech industry, that don't earn anything, but still make this industry possible, we wanted to make them visible, most of all. And they are like values 2, 3, and 4. And with the jokers that you just saw in the film, these inspiring tech critics, that some of them we know, some of them we don't know, not yet, but playing the game will introduce these critical thinkers to you. These jokers, the good jokers, will turn the tables, literally make the powerless powerful and the powerful powerless. And that's the game that we want people to play, and hopefully will help make people aware of, for instance, the shitload of money that Apple's net worth is. It's ridiculous. You don't want I think, a company to be that rich. And the kings, the CEOs, the amount of money that they earn is also ridiculous. So only looking at it from an economic perspective already makes you feel this should change. But then add to that we provide them with the data, that they don't respect their privacy, that we have to follow their rules. So there's lots of injustices that we want to share with the people via this turning tables game.
So play for intervention into rethinking these power structures. And also I think I have here a good joker, and it's Joy Buon-Lambini, who's amongst others known for the work that she did for the Coded Bias film. She's also a member of the Algorithmic Justice League. So what can I do with a good joker?
Well, if you play it, you can help this Chinese factory worker beat Mark Zuckerberg. Because if you play it at the right moment, together with your value number 2 or 3 card, maybe I should say ranking number 2 or 3, that's a turning around. Because then instead of having a low value, we give you a high ranking. You are number 2 or 3 and the kings are the lowest. So there's different ways of looking at how the values change from the 2 to the king or from the king to the 2. And we want to turn that around. And if you play Joy Buon-Lambini at the right moment, together with your value 2 or 3 card, that card will beat Mark Zuckerberg. It will beat the Amazon or the Google Ace. That's the trick of the game. But then you didn't address the bad jokers yet. There are bad jokers in the game because we're only humans. We have our human traits, and these are, for instance, ignorance, not knowing about the power and value of big tech. Division politically is very difficult to have politicians agree on how we want this change, or a defeatism. I mean, people thinking, yeah, who am I? What can I do as a single person? What can we do maybe as a group that don't like the situation? We're powerless. Well, no, maybe not. We live in sometimes reasonably functioning democracies. So there is, I think, we've seen in the past change being created. So I think here also, if we just agree on what we want, we can make this happen. But we have to collaborate. That's really what this game wants to do, also with politicians. So we're going to play this game with members of parliament, with members in the European Parliament, and hopefully it will change their minds, or at least inspire them to become active and act on our behalf and defend our interests.
Timo, I believe you have already had a few playing sessions.
Yes.
Can you share some first experiences?
Yeah, it's quite easy to get into once you get the gist of it, and it's also, people are really interested in also looking at the cards, because on the cards there is also some information about the people that are on the cards, for example, and they can learn about tech critics or activists that they haven't heard about before, and this is also a good way and an easy and accessible way for them to learn who these people are that are hopefully going to help us change the digital agency. And yeah, what might be interesting for people to know, especially at the festival, is that tomorrow we will have a info session for code for people who want to join next year. So tomorrow at 1:30 at that house. And next year, what also is good to know is we are collaborating with Transmediale, which is a German-based media arts festival.
Mm-hmm. Together with then the members already in the boat. I don't know if you introduced them.
Yeah.
Werktank and the Privacy Salon are Belgian partners. So we'll have a consortium of 3 countries, 4 organizations, and hopefully a lot of participants from these countries, to join us in the next co-creation project with then this extended thing of the program, that it will be the theme of the IMPAKT Festival. So we'll provide an even bigger platform for audiences to see the results of what these artist groups and non-artist groups, concerned citizens groups have been doing in our code project. Yeah.
So if there's people watching now and they feel, I want to become part of code, or I want to play the Turning Tables game, where should they go?
Well, you can order it online and to the IMPAKT website. It's for sale. If you hurry up, yeah, really, if you hurry up, today and tomorrow, up until Sunday, it's still €12.50, sorry. But after the festival, that's a special discount festival price. You could also come, of course, to het Huis Utrecht, where we sell the game. And from next upcoming Monday, anyone can buy it for €15. Still a good deal. So that's the game. And to participate in the Code project, also our website has more information. If you don't make it to this info session Timo just explained about, there's basically a lot of information. If you still have questions, you can email us. The website, can we give any hints about where on our website?
It's on the screen right there. So you can head to the impact.nl/code2022 open call.
All right, on that note, thank you so much for being here, Arjon and Timo. Have a great rest of the festival and
thank you.
Enjoy the rest of the program if you're joining us online.
Thanks, Rosa.